This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to Wednesday's edition of Locked On Bets. And as always, we appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you Wednesday, July 2nd. And looking forward to more winning bets today with Major League Baseball. Also another college football total that we'll look at, season win total, in just a little bit from the SEC. But before we get to last night's action, Lee, we got to start with today's action.
Oh, boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
Special this evening, there'll be a player prop. The Braves looking to bounce back after they were shut out by the Angels last night in Atlanta, trying to get their offense going. And Lee, with Austin Riley, he can hit him out of the park. What do you have with him and his prop tonight?
Yeah, I like Austin Riley. He is their team leader, looks like right now. And boy, does he absolutely destroy lefty pitching. In his career, he's batting .280 with 42 home runs. Great hitting conditions, too. Wind is going to be blowing out. Just check that. And it's also going to be hot. And I can see this Atlanta team, starting to put things together now. And versus Kikuchi, the pitcher he's facing tonight, not a whole lot of data, but he is 2 for 3. So he obviously, in the one game that he faced him, saw the ball really well. So here's a guy that seems to be really getting hot right now. And he provides that power for him. All he needs is a double. Not really a singles hitter. A lot of doubles, a lot of home runs. So we're going to go with a blowout special. Austin Riley of the Atlanta Braves over 1.5 bases, -105.
Now, looking back at last night, Lee, and how we fared, we had 3 plays, went 1-1. One game didn't go off. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, as far as Zach Gallen against the Giants, you had the under of 5.5 strikeouts. Unfortunately, he went the other way and had 10 strikeouts in Arizona's win over San Francisco.
Yeah, that was the outlier. We'll probably look back at the end of the year and laugh about that. So at least I was able to turn that game off, knew that was a loser pretty quickly. So struck out, I think, 2 in the first, 2 in the second. He was on. He had not shown that in recent form. So hats off to him. Maybe he's starting to put things together, but just one loss, we'll get it back.
Now, as far as the WNBA goes, the Commissioner's Cup last night, I had the under in the first quarter between the Fever and the Lynx. Caitlin Clark did not end up playing, but that was fine as we stuck with that. And Indiana shot lights out for the first few minutes, then had 3 points in the final 7 minutes, and the Lynx led after the first quarter, and that game went under the first quarter total. Indiana ended up winning the game outright as a heavy underdog, but still, a lot of the numbers did support the first quarter under. Minnesota, very good defensively in the first quarter at home. Also, Indiana, good defending the 3, even though Minnesota was 2 of 3 in the first quarter from three-point land, but still good to get that one in the lone WNBA game last night.
It was. Thanks so much for that one. I think everyone appreciates that one. And I have a question. They were even talking about the telecast. What is the Commissioner's Cup?
It's a famous thing in the WNBA. It goes back years. It's like the Lombardi Trophy. Don't you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
No, it's like 5 seasons. I didn't realize it was even on for 5 seasons when I saw the last 5 Commissioner's Cups. And I guess trying to stir up excitement. It's like what the NBA did with their in-season tournaments to give you something else when really we don't know which game is important and which one isn't. To me, Lee, yep. They're all, if you could bet on them, it doesn't matter if it's Commissioner's Cup or not.
Right. So
I don't think it matters.
A winner's a winner. We'll take it.
We definitely will. Now, the third game was the Nationals and the Tigers. You had Washington last night. Unfortunately, the game didn't go off. A couple games were postponed in Major League Baseball due to the bad weather there in the Northeast. But how would you advise in baseball, especially? This doesn't happen in other sports like basketball or hockey indoors, but how would you advise a rain out then the next day with the same starting pitchers and or maybe if one pitcher's changed, but the other pitcher you want to fade? How would you go about doing that the next day?
Well, obviously, or maybe not obviously for everyone, it is a no bet. So it's the next day. And normally, if there's a change in pitcher, I'm going to move on and just not bet the game. But I don't think the pitcher they're moving into today's starting rotation is going to be any better. So for almost every single reason I liked it yesterday, I like it as much today. So the line hasn't changed either. So let's go with the Washington Nationals here. We'll count this as another official play. I think they're going to get the job done and win the game.
Now, sticking with Major League Baseball, we won our hidden gem in the WNBA last night. So how about on the diamond?
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
So tonight's hidden gem, I'm going to go with, Lee. It's going to be at Coors Field, which is definitely dangerous at times to take an under, but the Astros and the Rockies under 5.5 in the first 5 innings. Now, last night, it was a high-scoring game early on. Houston ended up winning. No shocker, Colorado lost again. But Houston has their best pitcher on the mound tonight in Hunter Brown. Now, 6 straight starts for Brown that he has allowed 2 runs or less in the first 5 innings. So he's been pretty good early on in games. Also, the Astros facing a left-hander today in Austin Gomber. 4 straight games against left-handed starters that the Astros have scored 2 or less in the first 5 innings. Now, on the Colorado side with Austin Gomber, he's only made 3 starts this season, but twice he's allowed 1 run or less in the first 5. So he's been pretty good, at least early on. And one of those games came against the Dodgers, his last start. Also for Houston, 4 of 5 games after scoring 6 or more in the first 5. So when they have an explosion, then the next game they don't. 2 runs or less in the next game in the first 5. So if you got all that, 4 of the last 5 after scoring 6+ in the first 5, they're limited to 2 or less in the first 5 of the next game. So Lee, the Astros Rockies, obviously, yes, it's never safe with the unders in the first 5 or a game at Coors Field, but still I have faith in Hunter Brown tonight, and this being a lower scoring game early on.
I like it, Kevin, and the reason I like it is twofold. Number one, you're taking the bullpen out of it. I know I've bet in Colorado so far twice this year, and both times I did first 5 innings. I want to leave the bullpen out of it. They might have one of the worst bullpens of all time. They're bringing guys up from single A, double A, some of these other independent leagues. I think I'm hearing they're scouting, looking for any type of relief there. And like I said, you mentioned that Houston, after big games, just don't seem to perform the next game. So, we're almost at midseason right now. Some of these stats you're pointing out are not just trends. I think they're going to be season-long things that we're going to look at. So I think it's a really good play to go with the under. And let's hope that they keep those balls in the humidor for an extra 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, and the Astros, they're a team that they just always fly under the radar, it feels like. They're always going deep in the playoffs, and no one ever talks about them during the regular season. And they started slow. I feel like they always start slow, and then they pick it up. And now, again, this is where they're at, playing very well in the American League West. Coming up, Lee, we have still the wrong team favored. Looking forward to that for a big game inside the American League tonight. Also, another edition of the lock of the day, college football win total back to the SEC. We had Florida 2 days ago, North Carolina in the ACC yesterday, but Oklahoma today. We will get to that coming up in just a little bit. You are listening to Locked On Bets. It's time now to talk about Monarch Money. And ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Stick to your budget with these tools. Monarch Money has a flex budget system allowing you to save for big goals. Also, you can modify your groups and categories that suit you at Monarch Money. Also, you can use flex budgeting when expenses change from month to month, or fixed budgeting on your expected expenses. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off of your first year. As we bring back Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports. Yesterday, unfortunately, we got rained out on the wrong team favored, but it's a new day today.
What the fuck?
WTF.
Side of the American League East, and the Blue Jays have taken the first two from the Yankees. They continue their series north of the border. Toronto's only one game back now of New York atop the American League East. They're climbing back to the top. Yankees have been pretty good all year, but they've kind of tapered off over the last few weeks. So, Lee, Yankees, Blue Jays tonight. Big one in Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto pasted the Yankees. Actually, we gave it out on Twitter/X yesterday. If anyone follows me at Paramount Sports, and we gave it out as a free play, and they were a nice underdog. Yesterday, they pasted them 12-5. It was never close. They are starting to come alive in recent weeks. Now, a lot of people don't realize this. They're fourth in the majors in hitting. 80 runs, last 14 games. Still, they don't have a whole lot of power. But I don't think they're going to need it tonight versus Will Warren, who has only given up 6 home runs, but 5.54 ERA on the road, 1.44 whip. So Will Warren, not one of the better Yankees starters, especially on the road. On the other side, Blue Jays starter Jose Berrios used to give me a lot of heartburn, but this year pitching some really good baseball, 3.26 ERA, and only given up 1.06 home runs per 9 innings. That's his best since 2021, and that's really important, obviously, when you're playing against the Yankees. Yankees, one of those teams that relies on the long ball, doesn't steal many bases, and I just think that this is a really good matchup here for the Blue Jays. Like I said, they're coming alive. And I don't know about you, Kevin, but it feels doubly good when you beat the Yankees. Never been a New York fan for any sport. So when I win the wager and also knock down one of the New York teams, it is absolutely sweet here. So I'm going to go with a wrong team favored, the Toronto Blue Jays, plus the 110 to 115 here. They win again versus the Bronx Bombers.
Yeah, and they were down 2-0 early in that game, the Blue Jays, yesterday out of the gate, and then they busted open late. So good to see the American League East turning into a good race. Tampa Bay also hanging around there. They're right outside of first place as well, even though they've lost a couple to the Athletics at home. But still a really good race there, and that should be a good game coming up between the Yankees and the Blue Jays tonight. Now, we've talked a lot of baseball, so we got to transition to college football as we are getting closer towards the season, and we've gone over several season win totals on the college gridiron this week. So let's continue it once again, going back to the SEC.
Open it, open it, open it! Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
Season for the Oklahoma Sooners in the SEC, and their counterparts, the Texas Longhorns, they did well. Oklahoma had their struggles, so we'll see if they turn it around here in their second year in the Southeastern Conference. And now looking at the Oklahoma Sooners, the lock of the day, the season win total, I turn it over to Lee Sterling.
So, Kevin, I've been following Oklahoma a long time. They used to play in the Orange Bowl when I was growing up. It seemed like when they were the Big Eight, every single season or every other season, it was them or Nebraska. They lost 7 games last year. It used to be when they lost 2 games, it was a disaster. So things have certainly changed at Oklahoma. They finished the year 6-7 last year. And what was the main reason? Offense. It was one of the worst offenses you've ever seen. I mean, there were some times I think that the best player on the team was their punter. They were way down. They only averaged 24 points per game last year. Starts at quarterback. Last year, they were rotating guys in. What do they do this year? They bring in a guy named John Mateer. John Mateer, if you don't know who he is, went to Washington State last year. Everyone talked about Cam Ward. Cam Ward, best quarterback, college football last year, 43 total touchdowns. John Mateer, number one college quarterback with a total of 44 total touchdowns, 29 touchdown passes, 15 touchdown rushes here. So this is a guy that has a lot of escapability. They can do a lot of things with him. I think he's a leader. He played his best games against teams like Washington, not against, there's only 2 teams in the Pac-12 last year against similar or lesser opponents. That's what I look at also. There's a lot of guys that compile great stats, but, it's against the directional schools. It's against the teams at the bottom of their conference. This is a guy that stepped up against the best competition. And they also will bring over his offensive coordinator, Ben Arbuckle. I loved his play calling. Thought he was aggressive, uses a lot of motion. You add in, how about this? Jaden Ott, the star running back from Cal. Well, Jaden Ott didn't have a great year last year. He was hurt most of the season. I expect him to bounce back to the way in the form he was 2 years ago. And their receivers. You talk about a receiving core being decimated with injuries. Their top 4 wide receivers for Oklahoma were out almost the entire season. They were throwing to tight ends. They were throwing to true freshmen. They were throwing to some walk-ons, in fact, at some point. Now, this year, Deion Burks looks like he's healthy. They also have 2 transfer receivers that came in from Arkansas and Arkansas Pine Bluff. I think they're going to bolster the receiving core and their offensive line, which was horrendous last year and allowed 50 sacks. They are going to be much better with 2 transfer starting offensive linemen. So I expect this offense to go from about 24 points per game to probably 34, 35. I think this might be the most improved team and most improved offense in college football. The defense, they weren't the problem. They returned 8 starters from last year. They only allowed 21.5 points per game. They did have 35 sacks on the season and only allowed 3.1 yards per carry running the football. The only real change is the head coach, Brent Venable, who, was one of the best defensive coordinators. He's going to go back to calling plays for the defense and their defenses. So I like that change. The only caveat with this team, the only thing I'm really worried about is the special teams. Don't sleep on special teams. It's a third of the game. They do have a new kicker and punter, and their schedule fairly tough, but their only away games are at Temple. They'll win that game easily. And at South Carolina, who I think is overrated. Tennessee, mediocre in the SEC. They lost their quarterback. And Alabama, who knows? Anything can happen. Oklahoma might be able to give them a game here. Total 6.5. I'm going to go over 6.5 wins here for the Oklahoma Sooners for the 2025 season. They're my shocker, my surprise team in college football. I think they get the job done. So let's go here with another level 2 lock.
Now, Oklahoma, they do have Michigan early on in the season. And also, like you said, they go to Alabama, who they beat at home last year. They avoid Georgia in the SEC, and we'll see what Tennessee, how Tennessee is this year, like you said, with the quarterback change. So, yeah, I think a lot of people are forgetting about Oklahoma in this in the SEC and seeing their schedule 7-5. You got to go 7-5 to go over 6.5. I don't think it's asking that much.
No, and I could see him winning 8, maybe 9 games if things go right. I just think that John Mateer is so underrated. Not saying he's a good NFL quarterback. Rating and looking at college quarterbacks is totally different than the NFL. His escapability, able to make plays on the run here. I just don't think you can't understate that.
And we've seen, too, how Oklahoma's had a lot of star quarterbacks there. He could be the next star, and we'll see if that could be the guy. So that is the lock of the day. Oklahoma over 6.5 wins for the upcoming season. Wow, a lot of stuff we went over today, Lee, and we want to remind our audience, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel here, Locked On Bets. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and also Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports. Lee, what do you have going on right now?
Well, we're in July. Football starts at the end of July, first preseason game. We seem to win almost every single season. And the preseason, you want to get started up, go to the website, ParamountSports.com. Most services are charging $4,000 or $5,000 that win for you. Just $1,997 to get you every game from the first preseason game, July 31st, through the Super Bowl. It's a phone service. You call once a day. Weekdays, the games are up and available by 2 Eastern. We're not one of these services where you call 15 minutes for the game. We know you're busy. 2 Eastern, the games are up for these Monday, Thursday, Friday games. And once we get to November, we got the Maction on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. But that's important. And on the weekends, we know that people are up and you got your kids involved in athletics. You're going to the games. So you want to get going. They're up and available by 8:30 in the morning, $1,997, ParamountSports.com, or call 800-400-9741. Also, baseball. We do the player props. You want to try that out. We have a trial package, 10 days of the player props in Major League Baseball, an average of 3 selections a day, just $50. We text those to you daily. So check it all out. We've revamped also my website, ParamountSports.com. And I can't stress enough, I thank everyone for taking the time to listen to the daily podcast. I'm getting so many DMs from people, they're excited to go again, headed into the football season. Please go to YouTube and just hit the subscribe button. Just click it. Helps us out, and like it. And we want to be a part of your listen every day.
Yeah, and you could find us on X. I'm at Rogers Picks. Lee is at Paramount Sports, and also the audio version as well. You could find it on your favorite platform. Again, for Lee Sterling, I am Kevin Rogers. We appreciate you tuning in to today's edition of Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On